So, good evening and welcome to Championship Rugby League with Craig Lingard. How are you, Craig, mate? You well?
I'm very well, mate. All rested up after a week off, so ready to go back at it tomorrow.
Get back into the stress of it all, I'm sure. Yeah. And of course, we won't talk about your round of golf. I wouldn't have thought.
No. Very hit and miss, more miss than hit.
Oh, fair play. The birds will be happy anyway. At least you're off the course. That's the main thing, isn't it? That's the main thing. Let's get into, before we get into a couple of news items, then we'll get into last week's games. Obviously, this time last week, we just had the news on John Keir's sad passing. Lots of tributes since we spoke last, and I thought the game as a whole really did do him proud, mate.
Yeah, I think they did, mate. And I think that I saw the montage that they did on, I think, with the BBC, I think it were, where they put all the montage of the clips together. I just sat there smiling, just sat there laughing, because that was JK. You know, that were 100% JK, with the fingers twitching and, 100% on it on game day. You know, he used to bubble on game day, walking backwards and forwards, and like a cat on a hot tin roof. And I just thought that montage that they put together just summed him up perfectly.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And there's some really good games, both in the Championship and in Super League last week. But of course, Championship is where we keep our attention. A surprising loan deal last week, and a great loan deal if you're Doncaster. Tom Whitehead off for a month from Hull KR. Know Tom well, great prospect for the future. This is good business for Doncaster in the coming weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I think it's one of the things that these young kids, I guess, in Super League that are just outside the first team and not quite managing to get that game time. Is it better to play reserve team rugby, or is it better to go out and play first team rugby against men? I know the reserve teams, the reserve competition's coming up to an end. I think there's a game this week, and then you've got to wait another month for the next game. So I think there's only a couple of games left in that competition. So I think we might see over the next month or so quite a few more people being offered out to Championship clubs to try and get some first team rugby. But yeah, certainly a good bit of business for Doncaster. Yeah,
and I know it's Jimmy Beckett's off as well on loan, but not back to you, which surprised me.
Yeah, well, we didn't have a game this weekend, did we? So I think Castleford wanted to get him out and get him playing, and Batley wanting players as well. So it made more sense to send him there rather than wait another week for us. I know he's gone there for a month initially, but like everything, it's 7-day recall, and they can call him back tomorrow. Now he's been there for 7 days, and call him back as soon as they want now, and then he's either back at Castleford or he's going out somewhere else again.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more on that. And of course, you didn't mention this to me last week. I was quite put out. Mr. Eden coming to Sheffield.
Yeah, we didn't know about it, to be fair, until later on in the week. We'd been speaking to Greg. Obviously, we spoke to Greg before he went to Bradford, with a view to getting him in. Then with Matty Marsh for us is out for the season, and we've been fairly lucky in certain regards that we've not had any more injuries to us back three in that time since Matt has been injured. But we are right on the edges of the players that we've got. So he comes in, he provides competition for place in the wing, but certainly at fullback. If we can get Joe Brown back onto the wing, ultimately that's what I'd like to do. But both our wingers at the minute currently playing well. Billy Walkley, Ryan Miller, playing some real good rugby. So Greg's going to come in. He starts tomorrow with us at first training session tomorrow, and he's available for selection on Saturday.
Fantastic. Greg Eden equals tries, an incredible try to game ratio, Greg Eden. So will he be crossing the line for you? I'm sure he will. Right, let's get into last week, mate. We'll start with Gould for Batley 50. Great win for Batley. I think there's two things here. One, if you're looking at this from a Batley perspective, the amount of tries they scored from deep, the support play, the execution was absolutely superb. If you're looking at it from a Gould perspective, defensively at times it was too easy for Batley to get through the line.
Yeah, it was, and I think that's what we're seeing now. Gould are a very, very young team, still in their infancy and still learning how to compete against established Championship teams. Batley have been in the Championship or the second tier in whatever guys rugby league's been since 1998. I think it is. So they might be the only Championship team that's not been relegated. So they're a standout Championship team. They've been, longevity-wise, they've been there for a number of years. And I know teams change over the years, but when you've been there for that long, and the quality players that they've got, it just shows at times that now we're into the season, some people are struggling injuries wise and fitness wise and numbers wise and whatnot, then you start to see some of the more established Championship teams just show a little bit more consistency and get over the line. I think that's what we're seeing at this moment in time. Certainly in that game against Gould, Batley showed the quality and like you say, execute some really good tries from distance.
Well, I mean, when I saw the score originally, I thought, oh, well, Darrell Alfords has surely got his 150th try, but he hadn't. But Ben Reynolds had got an hat-trick. I mean, it's very rare you see a halfback going for an hat-trick, but great day for Ben Reynolds.
Yeah, definitely. Again, his quality player. He's played at the highest level for a long time, and I guess Batley maybe struggled a little bit at the start of the season with the transition of new players coming in, new combination. We've talked about at halfback and people not being available through injury, but now they're getting people back and they're getting some consistency and continuity there in the teams. Somebody like Ben Reynolds with the players that he's got around him is going to show his quality, and that's 100% what he's doing at the minute.
Great win for Batley. Then we go over to a game that there was a good game, to be fair. Keighley 22, Rochdale 34. Keighley went into that game undefeated in the last 4 home games against Rochdale. So I mean, history doesn't count for much. You get that, but great win for Rochdale. And Jamie Dallimore as well, standout on the day, another hat trick, no less. And he had some good moments in the game as well, in and around, setting up other tries, etc. Great day for Jamie. Great day for Rochdale.
Yeah, definitely. I think I tipped Rochdale last week as well, just to get this one. And Jamie Dallimore. I think when Jamie Dallimore plays well, Rochdale play well. He's one of them players that can play in a dinner suit and just get the team around the field. He's got a lot of experience now. He's into his mid to late 30s, and I think he's going around again next year. I think that were announced a couple of weeks back. And when Jamie Dallimore's on the field, Rochdale are a much better team, and they're picking up some decent results at the minute at Rochdale. And I would imagine they'll be looking for a strong push towards the players for the remainder of the season. Speaking of going around again, of course, Josh Griffin announced his retirement. George, of course, plays for you. Yeah. A tribute from yourself for Josh in his career? Yeah, again, he's done everything. I can remember when he came back into the game after being away at Rugby Union. Now he came back in at Batley. JK brought him in at Batley for a short spell. I think he'd done a little bit of time on loan as well from Huddersfield, I believe, and played half a dozen to 8 games. Then he came back and got himself back into the Rugby League fold, and then got a move on to Super League the following year as well. And I guess the rest is history from there. The career that he's had, the achievements that he's managed to achieve throughout his career as well, the longevity. I guess Father Time's just finally caught up on him with a couple of injuries that maybe just put an end to his playing career. But the fantastic career that he's had. I think I think he was maybe not disappointed is the wrong word. I think he left Wakefield to go and play for York in the Championship, and then obviously York got promoted to Super League and he's back into full-time rugby playing Super League again. So I think he maybe just decided to end his career in part-time rugby, but got another year at full-time or half a year at full-time. Yeah, I mean, I think Josh for me has had a stellar career. Great engine on him. Ran a really good line. Some games, of course, try-scoring machine as well at times. Yeah. I know that all too well. But no, we wish him nothing but the best. Going back to Keighley, though, even though it's a loss for Keighley, that fair play to him. They were 34-6 down in that game at one point, and they didn't give in. And I think that again, we've said this many times this season. That shows a lot of character. When you're 34-6 down, to then come back and 34-22, that's something they can build on this week, isn't it? Yeah, it is, but it's a frustrating one from a coach's point of view, because you're almost scratching your head and wondering why you have to wait until you're 28, 30 points down before you actually start playing the game that you need to play. And then, conversely to that, is it one of them where Rochdale know the game's won and they take the foot off the gas a little bit? I don't know. It's just a disappointing one as a coach that you can come back at the end of the game and what we're missing at the start of the game, and that's going to be the question for Keighley and their coaching staff, is why did we have to wait so long? And I guess Gary Thornton at Rochdale is going to say, well, why did we tip in so many points towards the end of the game? What a little bit of complacency on our part, or well, Keighley very, very good. It's one of them things that's a little bit disappointing from both sides as a coach. Gary Thornton will be really pleased with the start of the game, but disappointed with the end, and Keighley the opposite way around. Well, the leapfrog Keighley now, and speaking of which, very similar story, Midland against Whitehaven. Whitehaven incredible, especially in the first half. I mean, game one between these two back in round 6 was a draw, and I'm sure you recall that. But like I say, first half, I thought Whitehaven were very, very good indeed. Length of the field try, finished off by Ellison. Went through 6 pairs of hands that try.
Lovely play down the left edge, and it set the tone for what was a very impressive first half.
Yeah, did they go 16-0 up at one point? I think it was first half. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points to give away. Is that I know we've talked about it recently, probably the last couple of weeks, where teams have overturned a deficit of 16, 18, 20 points and managed to get the win. But it doesn't happen that often. If you're 3 scores down, it's very, very difficult to turn the game around. And the start that Whitehaven had, it made it very, very difficult for Midlands to come back into the game and get the victory, which proved difficult for them to do. But that's an outstanding result, is that, from Whitehaven. That the season that we've talked about Midlands having this year, some of the scouts that they've taken, some of the performances that they've put in, and Whitehaven have come down on the journeys and got a victory like that. It's a little bit of a different one to getting a draw at home, because you always associate Cumbrian teams having that stronger little bit of form than their away form. But to travel down to Midlands and get a victory like that, I think it's probably one of the results of the season.
Yeah, and as I was watching it, I mean, for me, what I really liked, and it can go either way. It went for them. The second phase, especially in the first half, they kept the ball alive. They chanced around. They passed the ball with real intent, and most of it really came off very, very well. I mean, on another day it might not, but on this particular one it didn't. Fair play to him for that. It was almost perfect had it not been for Matty Grimes going in in the corner just before half time. Then, as you say, 16-4, you think, it could be an interesting second half this. Yeah. But 43 minutes, Ingo, Whitehaven again, and from there they really did put the marker down that it was going to be their day.
Yeah, look, they've got some quality players up there at Whitehaven. We know this year they've struggled a little bit because they've got some inexperienced players, some young players, some players that have played a lot in the amateur game, but maybe not a lot in the semi-pro game. But what they've got is they've gone back to being local. They've gone back to the local players representing their club, rather than getting people travelling from Lancashire, which historically they've done. And I think if you've got that connectivity with your club, you've got that desire to want to play, that desire to want to win as well. And you add that with some of the quality of the players that they've got. And as you say, some days it'll come off, some days it won't. And on the days it does come off, they show the skill that they've got, they show the quality that they have got. And Whitehaven will be looking for more days like that. But I think they're going down the right route of creating that local environment, getting the players, again, I guess using the amateur game as a path back into the semi-pro game or into the semi-pro game. And then if it don't work out for them, or they're coming towards the end of the career and want to drop back into the amateur game to the club that they've represented coming through, then that's a pathway that it needs to be.
I mean, again, though, credit again must go to Midland. I mean, very, very similar to what we just said a moment ago. They left it very late, 3 tries in 4 minutes. Hearts in the mouth all of a sudden. I bet Whitehaven's coaching staff couldn't believe it. They're going in 70 seconds left in the game, and there's suddenly a try in it. And, it could have easily have been another draw, knock on in the end, coming at the right time for Whitehaven. McGowan getting 2, Jebson getting 1. Exactly what you just said on the previous game. These two coaches will be saying exactly the same from a Whitehaven perspective. How do we come so close to throwing that away? And from a Midland perspective, why did it take almost actually Mickey Wood's yellow card to really kick them into gear?
Yeah, and we've had a couple of games ourselves like that this year where we've been a couple of scores up and then we've slacked off a little bit, and then a minute or 90 seconds before the end of the game, we've conceded a try to mean we've got to kick off and defend a full set of 6. And then it's, as you say, it's edge of your seat, time, hearts in the mouth stuff. And you sort of wonder why you put yourself in them sort of positions instead of having a nice, comfortable last 90 seconds. You switch off a little bit, and then you've got another full set to defend, and anything can happen in that full set. So it's coaching life is a very, very frustrating one, mate.
Absolutely. I tell you what, though, it's not if you're Newcastle funded this week. 52 points to 6 win. And we've got to remember Hunslet, one of the surprising results this season, if you remember, was 34-32 in round 10 the other way around. And this was close up until half time. It was only 14-6 at half time. But then in the second half, Newcastle just let loose, and Jordan Lipp at fullback had an incredible game. Yeah,
they're playing some great stuff, aren't they? The results they get. I don't think they announced a massive squad as well for the game. We're an 18-man squad or a 19-man squad, So players-wise, they were down low, I guess, and that's a response to where York are with the fitness of their players. Hunslet, I know they've been struggling like a lot of teams have for fitness, and they brought a couple in from Doncaster. Paulie Paul and John Bollinson came in and played for them as well. So they'd look to strengthen, and I thought they might have gone up there and it'd been a lot closer. But like I said, up until half time, it was a very, very close game. But Newcastle just pulled away in the second half and put them to the sword, really. So I'm a little bit disappointed with their second half, but Newcastle are firing and kicking on, aren't they?
They are, and Miles Harrison, 8 from 10 with the boot, also got an assist in the game. Will Roberts, his fingerprints were all over those attacking phases. And again, very similar to what we're saying about the Batley performance. A lot of tries coming from deep. They played some lovely expansive stuff, just forward of their own 40-metre line. They look very impressive going forward in this game, Newcastle.
Yeah, they do. And I think when you're scoring tries from deep, it shows that the players are on it. Quite often you see an half break or a quick play of the ball and a 9 picking up and there's nobody there in support because you're not playing the play that you're on. You're either sat back waiting for somebody else to lay you a point, and that reaction is too late. So you can always tell when a team's on it on the day is because they're there straight away. As soon as an offload's there or an half break's done, or it's a quick play of the ball, they're on it straight away. And it's more than numbers. It's not just 1, it's 2, 3, 4 that are pushing through in support. And that's a real good sign that a team is on it on the day because they're on every single play rather than setting a point for a play. They're playing every single play that they're on.
Absolutely. And again, most of those tries, they weren't cut-out balls. It was nice, intricate passing, close, as you say, 3 or 4 men in support, short balls, getting through the players. Very, very easy on the eye. Some really, really nice tries in that one. No surprises in Wales, 134-0. I think the only thing I really want to say on this is 4 more tries for Shambe. That takes him up to 16 for the season, but I think we'll move on if that's all right. I don't think there's much we can glean out of that one. Salford 16, Donny 44. This was interesting in the fact that, Richard Horne at full time paid a lot of tribute to Salford because, of course, he played them in round 5 and really did a number on them. And he said that the progression since round 5 at Salford was there for all to see. He was really impressed in how far that club has come in such a short space of time. Yeah,
I think it weren't until sort of second half where Doncaster really started pulling away. And we've said before about Salford, they've strengthened a little bit, haven't they? They've got a few players in permanent. They've got a few players, the access to players in on loan. I would imagine, like I said earlier, once the season's finished in the reserve competition, then they might have access to several more players from St Helens or from Warrington, and that. I think the teams that are going to be playing Salford towards the end of the season, last couple of months of the season, then I think it'll be a lot stronger Salford team, certainly than at the start of the season. But as a team, we talked about Salford right at the start of the year that if they got 4 or 5 victories during the season, it'd have been a real good year for them. But the progression that they have made, they're looking at again, one of these teams that are looking for a tilt at the playoffs. And I think if they strengthen between now and the end of the season with the players that they might have access to, with the reserve team competition finishing, then I think they've got a real opportunity to either get 10th, 9th, 8th in the competition, have a real good dig at the playoffs as well.
Well, they're only 4 points behind, aren't they? They're not a million man. And like I say, and that is tribute to them. I mean, nobody would have had them in touching distance. Like you say, a couple of wins this season, get through the season, build again in 27. Probably most of those loyal supporters would have took that. But at the moment, as you say, credit to everybody involved in the club. It's been.
I think the difficulty that Salford might have because they were the number 1 team on the ratings. They're going to have they're playing the top 10 teams out of the Championship. So fixtures wise, on paper, they've got a very, very difficult set of fixtures to get through. But when you're playing well and you start winning some games and that confidence starts flying, then they're a dangerous team.
Indeed, never rains, it pours. They've had a lot thrown at them in the last 12 to 18 months, Salford, but well done to him. Outstanding stuff. As for Richard Horne, said there's lots of improvement in his side. What was interesting was Mr. Faraimo, not quite the 5 tries he got against Dunslet against Rochdale early in the season, but 4 tries nonetheless. Barreto back on form.
Yeah, I think more importantly for Doncaster, I think they've lost 3 games on the bounce, haven't they? So I think it's straight back onto winning ways for them and trying to climb back up that table and resurrect the form they had at the start of the season, because we know after how they start the season that the quality of players that they've got and some of the rugby that they're playing, they're a very, very dangerous team. So I would imagine as a coach, you're looking at the improvements that need to be made. But after losing 3 games on the bounce, Richard Horne will just be really delighted about getting that victory and back on the winning way again.
Well, he also said what you've said. They've had a couple of weeks off as well, haven't they? And he said it's very difficult to get the momentum. He's just happy to be back on the horse, and they need to build from there. Speaking of another team that's been up against it this season, we said last week, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, start the season even, we'd have probably found the Swinton Halifax one pretty easy to call. But we said last week, actually, all of a sudden it became a difficult one to call. And it proved to be the case. Swinton 22, Halifax 24. It was a right ding-dong and last-minute heartbreak as well for Swinton. Jesse Sorrick going in, taking full advantage of a very tired-looking Jordan Brown right on the hooter to get the win. Great effort from Swinton again, and Halifax will get out of there thinking we've got away with one.
Yeah, definitely. And from an Halifax point of view, any win's a win. Regardless of whether you win by 60 points or you win in the last play of the game, it makes no difference. It's 2 points. And, their form's been a little bit indifferent. They've had issues with players, injuries and getting people in. And obviously the sort of squad size that they've got or not got, and players are playing long minutes and doing it tough. And, any victory for Halifax at the minute is a very, very good victory. But I think it shows how far Swinton have come since the start of the season, that they'll probably be disappointed that they lost that game. Certainly going deep into the game like they did, and how they've been playing recently, I think they'll be disappointed about that.
Yeah, they should have hung on. They should have. But it was, a great advert in terms of competitive rugby league, no doubt about it. And I thought Sammy Kibula as well had a strong game in that one. Got himself a try, but his all-round contribution, I felt he looked the part. Of course, was he Wigan? What was he Wigan?
Yeah, started off at Wigan. He's been around a bit. Adam McBatley took him to Castleford as well, and he's been at several other clubs, Bradford, and he's been at a number of clubs as Sammy. Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, great win for Widnes. Incredible win for Widnes. Won all 3 games. They want to play Dewsbury every week, Widnes, because they've won all 3 games against them this season. The average score, or the aggregate score, should I say, 116-20. They've had a right result over Dewsbury this year, I've witnessed. That said, though, they scored some wonderful, wonderful tries in this game, no more so than the Joe Edge interception. I thought Edge and Inns, very, very good indeed. Great win, this one for Widnes.
Yeah, it is, and they're playing some really good stuff, being really consistent out, and they're going to be a threat between now and the end of the season. Once the playoffs start, then it's going to be a difficult team, a difficult game if you pull Widnes in the playoffs. They said scoring some very, very good tries, and I know Jack Owens played at halfback with Leon Hayes getting recalled back to Warrington as well. So I don't think Jack's played in the arse for a number of months. From my memory as well, so new halfback combination with Jack Owens and Tom Gilmore, so I managed to get through that as well. And Dewsbury are a difficult team to beat, so it'll be a pleasing victory for Widnes.
Absolutely, and like I say, Ryan Inns, 4 tries in this, 2 in a previous game. 6 of his 15 of the season have come from Dewsbury. He wants to play him again, I'm sure. But great win, great win that for Widnes. Well done to Widnes. And then of course, finally, Workington taking on Barrow. Nice win for Barrow. Joint second now, of course, with Newcastle. It was a real, I would put this as a Cobra Kai performance. They showed no mercy.
No, they didn't. And I'm halfway through watching the game now, and I thought how they played in the first half as well. They scored fairly early on, did Barrow, and then Workington had, I think, maybe four sets on the bounce, attacking the Barrow line. And I don't think Workington threw a great deal of pressure at them, but the defensively Barrow were very, very good. And I think that once they'd done that, they came down the other end of the field and scored pretty much straight away. And on the back of that, against a real strong, heavy wind as well, gale force wind they were playing into. And some of the kicks that were trying to get over from the touchline weren't even making the sticks. That showed how strong the wind was. And they were just very, very efficient in that first half. So I've not got to the second half as yet. I'll be doing that this afternoon. But very, very efficient and scored some great tries. And as we've said previously, with teams that are on it, once they get a quick play of the ball, I think Barrow are one of the best teams at doing that. Once they get an half break or an offload, some second phase stuff, very, very clinical once they make an half break. It's not often that they don't finish tries off once they make an half break. No.
Like I say, Workington had to wait till 71 minutes to post their points. And T. Ritson, he's doing well. He's going to be a threat for you because, of course, you've got these at the weekend. 13 tries in 16 appearances this year for T. Ritson. He's in great form.
He is, yeah. And I think I saw something recently that says is he now 2 tries away from the fastest 100 tries for Barrow. I think he's got 4 more games to try and get that, then he breaks the record. So, he's been a try scorer all his career, hasn't he? So he's, hopefully he don't get any this week against us, and we can keep him quiet.
Yeah, it's a shame it didn't work out for him at Super League level, but you never know. He might get another crack. You never, ever know. So, of course, you're going up against them. We may as well start there. You're playing them on Saturday, isn't it, your game this week?
Yeah, Saturday, 6 o'clock, yeah.
6 o'clock kickoff. And you beat him. You beat him in round 4, 22-6 at home. Obviously, you're away in this one. I'm expecting, are you expecting another close encounter or a closer encounter than perhaps the first game was?
It's always tough going to Barrow. It's one of them teams that you don't like playing because they are dangerous, And I think what I've seen from Barrow this year as well is I think Barrow are renowned for playing expansive rugby and real attractive rugby. But I've been really impressed with them how they've adapted a little bit this year. I think they've gone, rather than playing from deep, which is what they've always done, I think they've gone a little bit more. I guess a little bit more standard, the outside backs coming in and getting them on the front foot. We've got a real big set of middles that get them on the front foot as well, and then they can play the second phase stuff. So I think they're being a bit more direct, coming out of yardage, which I think is really, really impressive. And then when they get into good ball, they've still got all the shapes at the throw at you, but because I think being a little bit more direct coming out of yardage, it's giving them some more opportunity to get some second phase rugby. And as I said, once they get an offload or a quick play of the ball, the smartness of their players and the dynamism of their players are very, very effective with what they're doing. And I've lost 3 games in the league this year. Just shows how good they are.
Well, you'll be hoping they've left all. They've had all the points last week, and they come down a run for you. But no, look, at the end of the day, it should be. I know we never asked you to. Obviously, it's your own side, and I'm not going to go there with you and never do every week. But yeah, hopefully it's a close game between the two of you. Barrow, though, looking really, really good form going into that. But I'm sure you'll have something to say about it come Saturday.
Well, we've been to Cumbria twice this year. We've run twice in Cumbria, so we're hoping to get the full house. There's not many times that you can go up to Cumbria 3 times and get all 3 victories. So we're certainly focused on that.
I believe you're a good card player, so we'll just leave that there. Right, okay. Batley taking on Halifax. Met in round 2. Panthers 28-10 winners in that one. And Jesse Sorrick, the hero this week, he scored in that game as well. Both coming on the back of wins. Batley more comfortable than Halifax's win. Batley at home. This should be a good game for me because Halifax look as if, we know the problems that they've had this season, but they've chalked a few results off as the season's gone on. I think it should be a good game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it will be, and I'll be going to that as well. We've got some corporate up there this Sunday with some of my ex-prison service mates as well, so we're going to be going up there and maybe having a Guinness or 2. So I'll be up there watching that one live, and I think it's going to be a good game, like you say. Two teams. I think Batley with maybe the form they're on recently, and Halifax have won a couple of games, but maybe just struggled over the line to a certain degree in them games. And I think the confidence that Batley have got at the minute and being at home, that might give them the edge this week. But I think it's one of them games that could go either way.
Absolutely, of course. And forgot to mention, actually, if you want to watch Craig's team go up against Barrow, it's been streamed by Barrow, I've noticed. Yeah. It's been streamed at the weekend, so you'll be able to watch that game live and exclusive on their channel. I don't think they're charging for it either.
Yeah, I might stay at home then and watch it from home.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think the comms go that far, do they? Anyway, Hunslet against Salford. Of course, Salford very decent last week. Hunslet battered last week. Is this a game Salford? Look, are we getting too giddy on Salford? Is this a game that Salford would fancy? I don't know. It's again, I just don't know what to make of this one.
I think it is. I think where Hunslet are at the minute, I think they're really struggling for confidence because when they're struggling numbers wise, they're doing it tough. I know training wise, they're not having a huge amount of people on the field. It's difficult. It is really difficult. You only see as a spectator, you only see what happens on the Sunday. And when you've not got the number of bodies that you need on the field to get them connections, do the practice stuff that you need defensively and defensively, and then you just patching people up to get them on the field on the Sunday, it's very, very difficult to then go straight into a game and be effective. And I think that's what Hunslet have been doing recently. They've struggled to get numbers on the field training-wise, and that's what's transpiring and transferring onto the field on a Sunday. So I think Salford will be identifying this 100%. And I think with the lack of confidence that Hunslet have got, it's one they need to be wary of. And I think Salford could do this one.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating fixture. I think it's going to be, it's almost reminiscent of when we couldn't pick Swinton and Halifax last week. You know, it's got that feel to it. So be interesting. I'll keep a close eye on that one. Keighley up against Newcastle. Newcastle beat them 44 points to 18 in round 7 of this year. It's hard to look past Newcastle. Keighley's form's been a bit all over the place. Newcastle have been a lot more consistent this season. I'm going Newcastle. How do you see it?
No, I agree. I think you're right with the consistency there. Newcastle have been consistently good all the way through the year. And again, as you said, Keighley have been hit and miss. They've had some great games, some great results, but they've also lost some games that you'd maybe expecting to perform better in. So I think consistency-wise and quality-wise, Newcastle have got the edge there.
Fantastic. Rumour has it Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse and Goofy could be at Whitehaven this week. They're about to potentially go 3 on the bounce. Whitehaven fans will be pinching themselves. It's Disneyland at Whitehaven this weekend, if that's the case. Of course,
the way you're going with that one, mate. I did.
Yeah, you know me, mate. Yeah, you know me. I saw the smile slowly creep in as I was going. But yeah, Keighley, and of course, great win last week over Midlands, absolutely outstanding. And of course, North Wales being where they are, what an opportunity for Whitehaven to go 3 from 3. And I think, you know, Whitehaven fans, would they expect 3 from 3 at the start? Would they think they'd go on a run like that? I don't know if they would, but if they can complete it, and I expect them to at the weekend, it's been a good 3 weeks for Whitehaven.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm with you. I can't see any other result apart from a Whitehaven victory. And again, confidence breeds confidence. And you look at North Wales the other way around. You know, they're staring down the barrel every single week, aren't they? And it's one of them where if they concede a try in the first couple of minutes like they did against London, then it's that here we go again sort of scenario. And if Whitehaven get a score early, then they'll be rubbing their hands and thinking, here we go, let's put a big score on here. But ultimately, a victory's all that they're wanting to get 3 on the bounce and another 2 points on the league ladder, which, you know, I can't see any other result.
No, I can't. Good luck to Whitehaven. If, of course, they've got to get it done first. Nothing. Never take anything for granted in rugby league. But they should win that. They should win that. It'd be a great thing for the Whitehaven fans. And then finally, still in Cumbria, Workington against Oldham. Round 11, Oldham 74, Town 4. But there's some good news, Craig. There's some exceptional news here for Workington Town fans, and that is that Riley Dean scored 52 of them points, and he's now at Bradford. So actually, if you're looking for a little bit of a glimmer, there's your glimmer. No Riley Dean in this one. But that said, for me again, I can't look past Oldham for this one.
No, I can't. And I saw Johnny Gawley's interview after the game at the weekend against Barra, and he was very dejected. You know, he's really frustrated, and I think he's seeing a bit of a pattern in his team that, you know, they're not affecting the game plan that they need to, and they're making the same mistakes week in, week out. And again, we go back to that confidence. It's when you've got a lack of confidence and you're in that rut, it's very, very difficult to get out of. And if you are in that rut, one of the last teams that you want to be playing is Oldham, who have played some great stuff and some attacking rugby this year. You know, we know that they've had their troubles as well financially off the field, but on the field, you know, they just keep performing and getting victories, don't they? So, yeah, I think it's going to be another bad day for Workington, unfortunately.
Yeah, me too. Did you catch the Bradford York game? Did you get?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Riley did well. You know, for his debut, I thought he did well. You know, the try, obviously got his try. I forget his try, but I think it was more about his all-round game. I thought he was pretty good in terms of his kicking and all the rest of it. And hello from everybody else, whoever that was.
That was some, yeah. One of them.
But I thought Riley's all-round kicking game. I've always had high hopes for Riley. I thought he was very, very brave when he left Warrington to go down and chance his arm in Australia. Of course, that didn't quite turn out for him, which, you know, when it doesn't work out, yes, he'll have learned a lot in Australia, but it also hurts a little bit because he backed himself to go down there and make a mark. And obviously, it's been a slow return up to where he sees himself, I'm sure, as a Super League player. You know, just mentioned there the points that he put on Town earlier in the season. I thought he did all right.
Yeah, I think he did. And I think like you say, he's got that potential. It's now going the next step of achieving that potential. Potential is great if you achieve it. Potential is not great if that's all you've got and you don't act on that or you don't double down on that. And I think where Riley is now in his career, he's got the opportunity to step back up into Super League. I think what Riley needs, he needs a real dominant half around him. So then he's great off the cuff. He's great at seeing things and being real really sort of spontaneous and seeing things and reacting to that. And I think he needs that foil at the other side, somebody who can get him around the field, maybe like a Rowan Milnes. I know Rowan's out for the next 8-10 weeks, I think, so it's going to be difficult for him to play with him, but he needs somebody of that ilk that can get him around the field, guide him around the field, and allow him to do what he does best. And I think if he can do that, and he's got the confidence. Again, he's very, very dynamic. He's got a good change of pace, good footwork, and a good kicking game as well. He's got the potential. He just needs now to, I guess, fulfil that potential on the big stage.
Yeah, I think as you're talking there, I mean, we know Nick Arima's going to play. He's the marquee, he's their player, isn't he? So if Riley's going to play, he's got to outshine Rowan. And I've always been a big fan of Rowan Milnes. I've been waiting for him to get his chance. And again, I'm really disappointed that he's picked up his knock, because yet again he's been given the opportunity this year, and an injury is curtailing it for him. Yeah,
and I think Jaden Nickerima's injured as well. I think he pulled out of training last week, missed the game. Funnily enough, I've seen Bradford in the gym this morning when I went, and they were all training in there. Whether he's fit this week, Jaden Nickerima, I'm not sure. I think he had some ice on his leg again, so it might be a little bit too soon for him this week. Who knows? But as you say, when he's fit, he's definitely playing. He's the number one halfback because he's got that star quality. Does Riley Dean play again this week? Do they rotate him round? Who knows?
Who knows? But anyway, we'll keep an eye on all these Championship lads as they, when they get back up into Super League, see how they get on, and we'll keep a close eye on them. London now 6 points clear, 879 points scored, 124 against, a difference of 755. It's nonsense, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And then for me, where it really kicks in terms of the competitive element of it, Newcastle, Barrow on 22 points apiece, Oldham and Widnes then on 20, 18 points for Doncaster. Then it's the Eagles on 16. They've only played 13, as too have Widnes. Oldham have only played 12 and are sitting fourth with 20. Fair play to Oldham on that. Then Midlands, 14 games played. They sit on 15 points, and then finishing off the playoff places, Batley and Dewsbury both on 14 points. Batley again have played 13 to Dewsbury's 14. Right, there you go. Fantastic. Another whistle-stop tour of Championship Rugby League with Craig, just to confirm those fixtures again for this week. So Barrow against Sheffield, 6 o'clock. If you can't get down there, please try to. But if you can't get down there for whatever reason, like I say, keep your eyes peeled on the Barrow Raiders YouTube channel. It would appear that they are going to be streaming that game. Batley Bulldogs, all of these are 3 o'clock on Sunday. Batley Bulldogs, Halifax Panthers, Hunslet Salford, Keighley Newcastle, Whitehaven North Wales, and Workington Oldham. We will be back next Wednesday unpacking all of those beautiful games. I'm looking forward to the next games the following week. But on behalf of everybody, as always, big thank you to you, Craig, for giving us your insight on Championship Rugby League for another week. And we wish you nothing but the best as you go down the Barrow, mate.
Thank you, mate.
You look after yourself. Take care. See you next week, folks. Bye for now.